with your eagle arms. Now hinge back a little bit. See if you can take the legs into some sort of an eagle pose. And we do little eagle crunches coming forward and back, forward and back. 8 of them. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Return your Gomukhasana legs. You can release the arms this time. From here, we'll take hold of the right leg, moving into a little Kranchasana variation. So once you release the right leg, you may have to open your left knee a little bit. Pay attention to the slouching in the back. We want to hinge forward, so we're not on the sacrum, we're on the sitting bones. And then just start playing with the idea of letting the right leg come towards straight. Using your breath to determine where you'll go, because all knowledge is inside of us. We just have to clear the chitta, clear all that stuff around the mind, so that we can hear and see the wisdom that is innate to us. Take another breath like this. Now find a place where you can actually frame the right foot, letting it go, and we pump it out 8 times. 7, 8. Come back to holding the foot, this time with left hand. The right hand goes a little off to the right, and we just lean off to the right, and if your arms are open enough, your shoulders, then you'll look underneath your left arm as you twist a little left. Inhale. Exhale. Being aware of the sensations in the body. Let's come back to a little more center, and we'll place the right leg on the floor for Janu Sirsasana. Inhale, lift up. There's a slight shift to the right. And then exhale, hinge forward over the right leg. And again, we're moving into the place that our breath dictates is correct for us. So with enough practice, you start to just innately know where to go. Unfortunately, sometimes it requires getting injured, but hopefully we're all at a point now where we won't get injured because we're paying so much attention. Injuries seem to happen to newer yogis or young people. With age comes a little wisdom. Practice, wisdom. One more. All right, let's keep going like this. We'll just expand the body a little more as we move into Parivrita Janu Sirsasana. It's almost the same pose, but it's a twist to the left again. We take the right hand inside, palm facing up. It may be nice to have a block here. And then twist left as you hinge over the right leg. Now, if it all feels good, I'm going to switch mine. My knees bother me, so same. If you have the same thing, you can lift that leg. But we start to reach left arm over the left ear. And you're looking underneath your left armpit. One more. Now make your way up, and we'll extend both legs long for the wide-legged forward fold. Pull the pinky toes back. We want to have our feet as if they were in a standing position. And so the pinky toes, if you were in standing, are kind of in line with your corresponding hip. Roll the shoulders up and back. Pull the belly in. Use the floor to resist as you start to walk yourself forward. And just find that place that you know is good for you. Let go of what you think it needs to look like. So for some of us, that may be bent knees with a much narrower leg where we hinge. Or maybe that we just stop halfway. And a lot of that depends on anatomy, even if you practice and practice. And that's where contentment comes in accepting what your body is and being happy with it. We can't change the anatomy of our body. All right, let's make our way back up. And we'll swivel to the right. You'll be facing the opposite side, but don't worry, the only thing we're doing facing that way is Hanuman. So swivel or come to kneeling on the left knee. They're both good. And extending down into some kind of Hanuman practice. And in this Hanuman shape, we think of pulling the right heel towards the left knee. And at the same time, think of pushing the left knee towards the right heel. And that action right there helps to engage Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor. And it sets your body up in a nice place where you're less likely to tweak anything. All right, we take another breath in Hanuman. Now take good care to come out. So if you were kneeling, likely you'll come back through kneeling and then pivot a little bit to your left. We return to that wide leg forward fold, but we're not going to forward fold. That's just a transition. So once we're all there, then just keep going back to the front of your mat and slide that right leg into Marityasana A. So in A, the hip on the right side is lifted. Pull the left toes back. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, hinge over left leg. We haven't worked much on the left side, so be mindful here. Not staying long. Come back up. We'll twist to the right. Let the hip drop if it were lifted, and then see about lifting the right leg up in a twist. Taking hold of the outside of the right foot if you can. If not, maybe it's just the knee or the shin. But looking over your right side. Now try letting go of the foot. Hover and hold. Hold the belly in. And let it go. Shake the legs out. Roll your shoulders up and back. Exhale, peace fingers to the big toes. Once you're down there, come up halfway on an in-breath. Assess the situation. Is everything good? And if it is, go ahead and find your hold. You may have to back out a little bit. So it's all this knowledge that we have in our head now with this heightened awareness. And we have the confidence to know what to do with our bodies, to take it deeper, to back it out, to stay the same. Our last breath like that. Make your way back up. Cross your ankles. Step or hop it back, flowing straight through Chaturanga. Now lift your heart. We're going to hold the up dog. So we come into this up dog, we'll hover and hold. Pull the shoulders away from the ears. Open up and expand your heart. And let's move into a little serpentine. Right shoulder to the left. I let my left hip lift way up. And then dip a little more. Left shoulder to the right. I let my right hip dip or lift, excuse me. And we keep going in that fashion 2 times. Coming back up. And then we'll come back down. And once you're down, find an even spine. Lifting back up, find downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. Left leg lifts. Stack the hips. Bend the knee. Lift the head. Look over your right side. And just play here. Is this good? Shall I move on? If so, maybe you're flipping. Maybe you're side planking. Maybe you're coming out of it. Flip back to normal. Take the left leg up when we start those maybe Spider-Man push-ups or just touching the knee. Left knee forward to the outside of the left arm. If you're adding Chaturanga, go ahead and add it and then kick it right back up. One-legged dog. Come forward again. Maybe Chaturanga, maybe not. Left leg kicks back. Last one. Forward, maybe Chaturanga, maybe not. Kick it back. This time, plant the foot to the outside of the left hand. High on the ball of the right foot. Left hip crease already working back. Release left arm. Big twist off to the left side. Now, as you twist, check into your right shoulder. You want to feel this sense of rebound. You're pushing the floor away, but you're not coming up to the ear. Now, keep that shape. Drop down. Right knee to the floor. See if you can expand even more. Maybe bending right knee. If that's all good, maybe you work right heel towards the hip. Take another big breath. Now come back to center. We tippy toe that left foot forward. So this is our first intentional Hanuman on this side. You may want to just hang out here. Maybe that's a good place to be. Maybe hinge back. Maybe toes back and forward or going forward. It's all up to you and your body. And work with the breath. Paying attention to all the sensations and see if kind of like the way we labeled, I don't like to use that word, but labeled the breath. Can you label and identify certain sensations? My upper left hamstring, my calf muscle. One more. And we all come back to that bent knee. And remember, on this lunge, it's a rather narrow gap. So walk it in a little bit as we come up to floating. Pat yourself on the back, right hand, left hand goes where it's safe. And they're called duck squats. You just go up and down 8 times. But it's as if you were driving the knee down to the floor. 6, 7, 8. Keep the arms if you can. Step to the back of your mat. Left leg's in front as we circle around for eagle pose. So remember, your eagle legs could be touching. You could just have to have your foot on the floor, that's fine. Or maybe squat and lift or double wrap. Trying to get the knees to come towards center. Try to lift the left hip a tiny bit, like maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Squatting down. One more big breath here. And we release everything, let the left leg step forward, and we come into a Virabhadrasana A, Warrior One. So first, just start with your basic pose. Pull the left hip crease back, establish a footing on the right side, flip the palms so they're facing towards the back, and relax the shoulders. Now, once you're here, just see what you can tweak. Maybe you can go a little deeper, letting that left thigh come into a parallel place on the floor. But we don't want to give up integrity of the pose. So if the knee comes in, or if you have to open way up to the right, shorten it up again. From here, we'll take the right arm forward, the left arm back, revolved warrior. And we're right where we need to be to unrevolve and move into warrior two. And the same thing applies here. Once you're in two, set your drishti over your left fingertips. Check the knee line, make sure it's not collapsing in. And then see, can I go a little deeper? Can I walk that back leg, the right leg, further away to find this parallel place? And then get shoulders and hips in one line. Reverse warrior, right arm comes down. Hover and hold. Now let's see about adding the strengthening pose. We keep the shape, but we lift the right arm up. Now push into your right foot for your kickstand as we come up to straight arms, straight legs, preparation for triangle. All right, so in this triangle pose, I like to come halfway down first. So reach the left fingertips far, and then come down into this place where you know you're completely lateral. In other words, the right arm's not diving in. Then decide to go deeper if you're going deeper. Ideally one day, drishti's up to the fingertips. But if you're like Joanne and me, we've got these it feels as if I'm on stage, these cap lights that shine brightly down. So if you don't want to look up, no big deal. Or if it hurts your neck, it's okay. Last breath like that. Come back up. We pivot everything to the right, and we come into our yogic squat. All right. See if you can remember when we did that pumping breath, which thumb you had on top. It's probably the one that feels most comfortable. So let's switch it out. Flip the palms back up. Come into a deep squat. Let's take a full inhale. We're going to 40 Kapalabhatis. A full exhale. Now just half an inhale and go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Squat it down, release the hands to the knees. Here you can even shrug the shoulders. This takes a tiny bit of pressure out of the quadriceps. Push left knee away from you. Draw left shoulder way off to the right knee and stretch open. This is a feel-good stretch. Now come back to center. Place both hands on the inner knee and then push open, arching your spine. Come back up just a little bit. We push right knee away, shift over towards the left one. Come back up to center, straighten the legs, pivot the toes in. Resting the hands right above the knees, moving into 3 lion's breaths. And in this lion's breath, think of getting rid of some of those hindrances by finding a sense of calmness, confidence, a heightened sense of awareness, one-pointedness, maintaining composure. Inhale through your nose, lift your chin. Open mouth, exhale, stick the tongue out, roll the eyes up. 2 more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, let it go. And then 1 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, let it go. Stay down at the bottom. This exhale all hollowed out. No air in the belly. Pull the belly in and up. And release. Inhale and exhale. Coming up, straight legs, hands at the hips, roll the shoulders up and back. And exhale, hinge forward. Come up halfway. Taking your peace fingers to the big toes again. Excuse me, I forgot. And then let it all go. Going back down. Shake the head. Yes and no. Yes and no. Lift the kneecaps. Shift the weight forward into the toes. Another big breath. Just feels good. Come on back to center. Now let's place the right hand underneath, left hand at the hip, and we twist. So initially, the twist is just torso to shoulders. And if that feels good, take the left arm up. And pay attention. If you're like me and you try to do this thing where you pull the left shoulder back, let's try to not do that and instead think of one line from the belly button straight up to the chin, just twisting to the left. Now, if it feels good and you know it's okay for your back, we can add the hip. Push the left hip forward, twist open. Just feels good, giving that left hip a little bit of love. Last one like that. We come back to center, hands to the hips, lift up, arms come with you. Pivot left, facing back to the front for Virabhadrasana 3. But this one's called Digasana. It means direction pose. It's just basically Warrior 3 with extended arms. So hinge forward, hugging arms at the ears. Keep the right hip down, keep the right toes down. So you get this kind of internal rotation in the right thigh that draws everything even. Now open your wings. Drop the right hand to floor block. Half moon, revolved. Same thing applies in that right leg. Keep everything as it is. Just step the right leg back as if to go through triangle, but we'll skip triangle today. We'll pivot both toes to the left. Walk left leg away from you. Left arm over left ear. Now with a big inhale, lift the rib cage. And then exhale, lower down. 2 more like that. Inhale, we lift up. And then exhale, we lower. Nice big stretch in that left hip. Up. This time as you lower, come all the way down. Now again, we'll take note in that left hip. It's probably lifted a little bit. Likely you'll just be able to settle it down as you breathe. But if that's not happening at all, try extending the right leg and see if that feels good. So big inhale, we pull in, lift up, exhale, twist left. An Ujjayi breath here. Just the sound of the Ujjayi breath can keep you nice and present, making you aware of every movement, every moment. I notice in my older age that time goes so fast. If I start to be more mindful and pay attention with each breath, it seems to kind of slow things down a little bit. So you might want to try that. All right, let's unfurl. We come back to center and we move into the Gomukhasana legs. Left leg on top. Just find the place that's good for you. You might still have that right leg extended. Right arm on top once or twice for eagle arms. I'll snuggle that right shoulder down. Inhale to lift and then find your little spot to rest. So maybe at the knees or maybe on a block, maybe all the way forward. This is a great pose for practicing letting go of the shape that you think it should be. So for instance, for me, I just love the idea of getting my forearms in front of my knees on the floor. But honestly, my left hip lifts a little bit. So I've been practicing more pushing into the left hip and letting go of the forearms. Try it. Maybe you're in the same boat. We'll take one more breath. Keep your eagle arms as you come up. We hinge back a little bit and see if we can find eagle legs. So that could be separated, or maybe you're able to take them together. 8 crunches. Opening, closing, just little movements. 6, 7, 8. We return to the Gomukhasana legs, letting go of the arms though. And now we start to this kind of variation of Crown Chasana, Heron pose. So start to hug the left leg in. Allow the right knee to open up so we have a little more expansion there. And then this may be the perfect place. So maybe you have a strap hanging out. If you're extending, start to extend. Work with the breath. Inhale, what does the message tell you? Exhale, move accordingly. Do it one more time. All right, find the place where you can let go of the leg, frame it, still keeping your nice flat back, and now pump it out 8 times. Beautiful. Last one, hug it in and release. Moving into Janu Sirsasana. Shifting a little bit over the left leg, maybe even going further left. Inhale here. Exhale, forward fold over left leg. Pay attention to the sound of your breath. When we're all in class together and everyone's ujjayi breathing, it's just like music. It's a beautiful, beautiful sound. See if you can find it right now in your own home. Lift back up for Parivrtta Janu Sirsasana. We open up and expand a little more. Left hand inside. Maybe it's on a block, maybe not. Again, if you're having any knee problems, feel free to lift that right leg. Open up, twisting to the right. Maybe arm comes over ear. Then we shift a little more. So in this heightened awareness, can you see how this is just like the pose I left out, which is compass pose, which we'll come right back to. So we can do it backwards. Take a little peek under your right arm and see how we're leaning left, correct? So now come on up, and I meant to do this earlier, but we didn't do it. We did it on the other side. Let's do the same thing. We take hold of the right foot, left arm down, lean to the left and look under. So once we start to recognize these different shapes, but basically the same one, so can you see how that's exactly what we were just in? And the body starts to say, oh yeah, I've been there before. All right, let's come on down, widen both legs. Big inhale here, and on your exhale, either decide to hinge forward, doing exactly what we did the last time, or peace fingers to the big toe, and we take the floating forward fold. So granted, there's not as much of a forward fold typically, unless you really have powers unbeknownst to me where you can pull the legs up close, but we get to work the stabilizer muscles. So lift the kneecaps, flatten the spine, look up, open the whole front side as if you're on the floor. Take one more breath here. Now from here we move into a soft landing and we all meet in that same shape. Just one more breath. Walk yourself back up, preparation for Hanuman on the left side. So you'll likely be facing the back of your mat. If you need to just come into kneeling, perfect. But if you have those swivel hips, go ahead and swivel. And now start to think of this side, pulling the left heel towards the right kneecap, pulling the right knee towards the left heel. And you can actually help lift the pelvic floor by squeezing in the pelvis, and think of it hollowing up, just lifting up. And notice how that actually activates your inner thighs as well. So it works in both directions. Another breath. And coming back out, maybe kneeling or just wide legs, it doesn't matter. We come through this wide-legged shape, not to forward fold or anything. Swing the left leg forward for Marichyasana A. So first we have the left hip lifted, pull the right toes back, just come inside. We don't stay very long in this. Now come on back up. We take the outside pinky toe of the left leg and twist left. Maybe you're holding the knee today. Releasing left arm. Extending if you're extending. Looking over left side. Maybe you can let the foot go and hover and hold. All right, release everything. Come back to facing the front. Shake it out. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, slide hands down. We'll take the tops of the feet, pulling toes back. This is great for the feet. So we pull the toes back and down, feet back, so you get that nice stretch in the back of your calves, and take a forward fold here. Making your way back up. Let's take a Purvottanasana before we move into going into our back bends. So extend the legs long if you're doing full Purva. If you're just doing half, it's bent knees, and they're both just as good. The idea is just to lift up and straighten out, finding length on the front side of your body. We just kind of had all crunched up. I have a block handy. Let's go ahead and move into a bridge position. So we lower down, heels and hips are close to each other, palms facing down on the floor, and then inhale, tuck your pelvis, roll up. Exhale, keep that pelvis tucked as long as you can till the very end, then untuck it. And we'll do that again. Tuck and roll, so each vertebrae is lifting one at a time. Exhale, lower back down at the very last minute, untucking and find that little arch in your back. Let's do it one more time. Tuck and lift. Keep tucked until the very end as you lower down. Okay, let's move into a stationary bridge pose. So you may need your block. Some of you may not want to block at all. It's up to you. But we all come into it in the same way. So if you're using your block, whatever side you're using it on, you'll set up right under the sacrum. If you're not using block, we'll work the hands under in just a moment. So first, we tuck the pelvis, lift up. Make sure you're pulling your belly in as you walk your arms underneath the corresponding shoulders. Maybe grabbing ankles with your hands, or maybe interlacing. But the resting place is more on the arms than it is on the neck. There's going to be some pressure on the neck. Just be aware of it and allow the shoulders to shrug here. I know that sounds counterintuitive to everything we've been taught, but in this shape, having the shoulders higher, it's okay. Now think about the chest and the chin shape. Lift the chin slightly, and as you lift, in this heightened sense of awareness that we have now, can you feel the cervical spine, your neck spine, coming into a little more of a curve? Then puff the chest up close to the chin. So in other words, we're not drawing the chin to the chest because that flattens our neck. We're lifting the chin and then puffing the chest towards the chin. Take another breath. And now if you had your block and you want to just keep your block to move into Viparita Karani, perfect. You'll just rest there and lift the legs up. If you're using your hands for the Viparita pose, you'll come underneath and then take your legs up. The idea is it's much like shoulder pose, but we, instead of having the legs directly above the shoulders, as you can see, they're far away from my shoulders. If you do practice shoulder stand and you know how to do it safely and you have all of the things you need, by all means go for it if you want. I prefer to have 2 or maybe even 3 blankets now. I stopped doing it completely for a while, but I had somebody show me how to do it properly, and it's better for the neck. So play mindfully, always being in a place where you can breathe. Don't turn your neck side to side because you've got weight bearing on it. Now feel the Ujjayi breath leaving your body as it touches, leaving your mouth as it touches your body. It's nice and warm. Excuse me, not your mouth, your nose. And take about 3 more like that. Now, if you have a block, you're going to have to remove the block before we come out of the pose. Those of you who don't have a block, we'll just lower the knees and then roll yourself all the way up into a seated position, extending your legs long. Again, if you practice fish pose, go for your own practice if you know what you're doing, but I'm going to teach something else. We leave the hands looking forward, come into a place where you can puff the chest, shrug the shoulders. So we have this little hammock that we've created for our neck. Now we can lift the chest. The head is very supported, and we open up here. So just like in fish pose, we're stretching this whole front side. It's the same idea. We're stretching open, allowing the throat chakra to breathe. It was just all compressed. Softness in the breath. And then make your way back to neutral. We'll end today at the wall for safe handstand, safe headstand. So looks as if you can see. I'm not sure if you can see. I'll pretend I have a wall here. So we get very close to the wall, interlacing the hands, and then lift up. And this could be your shape right here. Right here, I'm practicing pushing away from the floor. So notice where I'm not pushing away. Look up for a second and see where my chest collapses down. Now when I push away, there's no way I'm touching that floor. It's just not going to happen, right? Because I'm pushing away so much with my arms. So this could be a great place. Just hang out right here. But if you're going to lift up, we take one leg at a time to the wall. The idea is it's just like our headstand that we normally do, but we push down so much we lift the head off the floor. And we're not cocking the chin forward. It's hanging all the way down. I'm going to see if I can move this screen and do it. Okay, so the idea being that we lift the head off the floor. So here's what it looks like. I come up and I drop my head down. So see, I can shake my head yes and no. There's absolutely nothing standing in the way of my doing that, except if I sag down and the top of my head hits. So I'm pushing. It's a very active pose. Pushing into the forearms to lift up, and that gives me the space. Try another couple of breaths. And then mindfully make your way out of the pose. If you did have any weight in your head, you'll take your wide legs, interlace fingers around the neck, and give yourself a little pull.